Hello. Wonderful to be back with you all to continue our As You Prepare series for our Lenten time. What, uh, what I'm going to do now is give you an orientation for week 3, 4, 5 or Lent until Palm Sunday. Because Palm Sunday unto Easter Day is a different section altogether. Now, we have finished week 1, week 2. Week 1, we celebrated the humanity of Jesus and therefore celebrated our own strength in Christ. Week 2, we celebrated the divinity of Christ, transfiguration, in which we see our possibility. Because anything in Jesus comes back to us. Now, after we see the human possibilities and the divine celebration of Christ in the temptation and transfiguration of Jesus, we are now equipped for that Paschal mystery of the humanity and divinity of Jesus that will come at the Paschal time. Excuse me for my cup of tea. And so, as we move on, in the next 3 videos, what I will do is to prepare ourselves for until we move on to Palm Sunday. Now, you see, the church is constantly inviting new people to come into church on Easter Vigil, Easter night, when they will baptized. And therefore, many parishes, or some parishes, however the diocese goes around, will take recourse to readings of the year A, not year C. We are in year C right now. And therefore, when they take year reading, that is in week 3, 4, and 5, you will have the Samaritan woman, the man born blind, and Nicodemus. So these readings will be completely different. I'm not doing those readings. I'm only focusing on the year C, and that too, I want to keep focused on the first reading from the Old Testament. Why? Because, my dear friends, the ultimate feast celebration, the peak of church is Jesus' resurrection, Easter. Easter is the highest form. No other feast goes beyond it. No other feast goes anywhere compared to it. So Easter is the highest celebration of the church. And therefore, the whole Lenten journey is moving towards the Easter day, right? And I told you last time, it is the Easter Vigil where we have the salvation history going on. And where does the salvation history until the time of Jesus come? From the Old Testament. And therefore, I will keep my reflection in week 3, 4, and 5 into the first readings. And therefore, in the next 3 weeks until Palm Sunday, my reflection will be on the Old Testament reading. Therefore, it will be on the call of Moses. Okay, that is from year C. But if someone takes a year A, then it will be on people complaining about no manna, on the journey during the time of Moses. Week 4, I will talk about Joshua leading people just before getting into Jericho, and it will not be on Israel going through its own struggles. On week 5, it will be from Prophet Isaiah and not from Prophet Ezekiel. So keep that in mind. And so, as I told you, in this salvation history, week 1 will be from before Abraham, week 2 Abraham, week 3 Moses, week 4 what happens in the journey to the promised land and in exile and all that, and week 5 would be the prophets. And then we get into Palm Sunday. So keep this orientation in mind. We are preparing ourselves to Palm Sunday, because from Palm Sunday we are going to take a different turn altogether. And so keep these reflections. Week 3, week 4, week 5, we are entering into Jerusalem with Jesus. And when we enter Jerusalem with Jesus, we are entering into the promise of the fulfillment of the Old Testament into the New Testament. And therefore, in that fulfillment, we are moving with the Old Testament. Okay? So in the next 3 weeks, Old Testament, preparing ourselves with Jesus, the ultimate Messiah, the ultimate prophet, to enter into the promised land, enter into Jerusalem where we enter into the final phase of Jesus' ministry, the movement from the Old Testament to the New Testament, especially in Christ. Keep this orientation in mind as we journey further.